But
Good.
This is also the first time we are
recording
recording a
in
podcast in this format.
yeah,
So
in
Yeah.
Zoom.
I
yeah,
think I saw before you. I don't know if I saw the right thing, and in your story, I saw something like it looked like a real studio that
Yeah,
you were
yeah, yeah,
sitting in.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. It's close to the garage of the video of his house.
yeah.
So yeah, it's our little studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is so cool.
Uh,
I don't know. I feel like it always seems so nice and clean, and like the sound is so nice. I hate it when well, I not hate it, but like I did a podcast, talked on a podcast 1 year ago actually. And I was sitting in my kitchen and the sound was so bad and I didn't notice
yeah.
before. And then afterwards I
Hmm.
heard how badly the sound was and like how much, I don't know how to say it in English, but the walls reflected a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, echo, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of echo exactly. And I just hated it afterwards. So
Yeah.
I always think it's so
Our
cool when people
first
actually
our first episode was like one microphone for the three of us, and the audio was
Yeah, the audio was
not very
awful.
good. So we just
Yeah,
bought
Okay.
these ones. That's the ones you see in the studio.
Okay.
yeah.
That's one of our concerns. It's a podcast, so audio is one biggest thing in podcasts. So we are really concerned about the audio quality, and we are trying to do the best, of
Yeah.
course.
Makes sense. Yeah. My parents actually work kind of in the music industry. They
Oh,
both work
okay.
at the radio station, and my dad's biggest hobby is music and stuff. So he made me really like every time I send him something, he always has something to say about it. It's like, hey, the sound is a bit too much, the mic is a bit too close here, and I don't know what. So he's actually one of the reasons I got that little mic here because I was like, okay, in case I ever have to say something again on camera, or I don't know what, I'll need that thing because otherwise I just
Como é que está o tempo?
Tá cavoco, sim senhor.
Hoje estás
Temos...
cavoquíssimo. Temos uma convidada especial. Vamos ter o nosso primeiro episódio
Exato.
totalmente em inglês. Ela vem diretamente da Alemanha. Eurowings. First Officer na Eurowings, se não estiver em erro, mas depois ela também vos dirá. E é isso. Pá, vamos começar a falar inglês, por isso... À partida vocês vão
Desculpem
todos entender.
o inglês.
Ah,
o
também
inglês não
estamos a
foi
fazer
perfeito.
estamos a fazer a chamada por Zoom para, né? Faz sentido, não é? Ela está na Alemanha. E pronto, acho que é isso. Podemos começar.
Yeah. Yes.
So if you don't mind, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Yeah, I'm Manon. I'm 25 years old right now. I'm a bit mixed. I'm German, Spanish, and Finnish, but I'm mostly German. I live in Germany. And like you said, I think before already, I worked for Eurowings as a first officer now, only for like the past 1.5 years. So I started after COVID. I had the training before and then 2 years of waiting time. Started studying a little bit there. And now finally I have been flying on the A320 for a bit less than 1.5 years.
Okay, where did you have your
Perfect.
training?
I went to European Flight Academy. It's a mostly Germany-based flight school, but as the name already says, it's kind of European. So we're actually at that flight school, they're also looking for people outside of just Germany because it's a flight school of Lufthansa Group, and Lufthansa Group actually has airlines in not only Germany but also Switzerland. They've got Air Dolomiti in Italy, and they're kind of, I think, also broadening. They want to get ITA, I think, also in the mix. So ITA Airways. So yeah, that's why it's European Flight Academy.
Okay.
Okay.
The
After
love-
your
Go ahead.
after your high school, you got like right away in the aviation school, or there
yeah,
was
right, no.
a waiting time?
There was a waiting time. Yeah, I forgot to say it. So after I finished my school in 2016, and the flight school was not hiring or like not getting anybody new in, so I decided to see what I can do, and I became a flight attendant first, actually.
Oh.
So I worked for Lufthansa on 747, 320, 330, 340 as a flight attendant, and I used the time to prepare for the tests, and then I think I worked there for about 1.5 years too, and then had, I think, 10 days between finishing as a flight attendant and starting my flight school.
Okay.
Amazing.
And the love for aviation came in your early ages, or just came with the time?
To be honest, it's kind of hard to say that. So I've been flying a lot since I've been a child, also without my parents already, because my grandmother and my grandfather, they live in Spain.
Okay.
So we've been flying once or twice a year to Spain to visit them. And they already always got super excited about going to the airport, seeing the airplanes flying. I love taking off so much, like the whole, like feeling the strength of that plane, you know, just pulling it forward. Just loved it. And the love for aviation was there the whole time. But to be honest, thinking about the job just started like 2 years before I finished school, because for some reason, I never saw that job. For me, I never saw it. Like, it wasn't like I thought it wouldn't be for me. I just never thought about that job.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for us, because it's like we told you, the lack of information kind of pushes us back, because it's not, we don't really feel like it's possible. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, you don't really think about it unless, I guess, you're out of an aviation family where you have people already flying. Totally. Then probably you see it and you know that it's possible. But when you're not flying, like when you don't have anybody around you, it's kind of hard to find a starting point.
It's a very far away dream that you have in your mind, but it's very difficult. And can you tell us what were the tests you made to enter the flight school?
So in Germany,
or what is the process to enter the flight school?
Yeah, of course. So in Germany, there's the DLR test. So it's kind of, I guess, also test that you had to do all the basic computer tests. You have 1 day of those. It's like mathematics, mental arithmetics, I think it's pronounced like that. I'm not sure, but you know what I mean. Spatial orientation, like rolling the cubes and stuff like that. So English test. And that's 1 day. And in Germany, there's like one station where you can go to do this test. And then after, for me, it was still different. Right now, it's a bit different to my process, but I could get into flight school right away like that. And during flight school, we actually did a selection process on top for Eurowings already. So I was kind of pre-selected for Eurowings. Now the flight school actually does it differently. So you do first the first day of tests, so the computer test, computer-based stuff that you can prepare for. And then when you've done that, you apply to the flight school, and then they do some kind of selection process with you. So they do an interview with you, they do some group games with you, a little simulator thing. And then they decide if you can get into flight school. And then after that, you still do your medical, because, I mean, you know that.
Of course.
And then you're pretty much good to go.
So you pretty much do a company assessment before you do your flight school?
Exactly, yeah. So that's how they do it right now at the moment, which is, I personally think, kind of a cool thing, because you already get kind of accepted for 11 airlines. That's kind of the special thing about the flight school right now. It's like you have an assessment, and as soon as you get into flight school, you know that there are 11 airlines that potentially already kind of said yes to you. And after the flight school, you only have to do like an interview. So it is still some kind of a little bit selection, just checking if you're really the person that fits perfectly to the company, but it's not a real selection process anymore.
Okay. Within your course, your training, your flight training, what were your biggest difficulties? Do you have any story to tell us?
Kind of difficult. I wouldn't say that there were any kind of like major difficulties for me. I think mostly is really just that I was struggling with my like confidence sometimes. Like, I mean, I guess you all know, like sometimes a flight just doesn't go as well as you wanted to, or I don't know, bust a landing or something like that. That just happens, you know. And I think for me, the difficult part was like really just understanding that this is normal and just keep pushing through. Because throughout the rest, I think it's just a lot of sometimes really hard work and dedication. But if you have great people in your class that like push you and you work together with them, I think it's really nice and doable for sure.
Okay, nice.
Do you have any advice for student pilots that are getting through the course nowadays? No.
For the theory part, I would probably say to just really know your friends are worth much more than just being friends from course. Like you can really help each other, because sometimes, like you also know, sometimes somebody understands one topic better than somebody else, and you can help each other and study together. I think this is really something super important. And for me, it was also just starting ahead of time. Like every time we would have a class, I would also, after class, just go through a little bit of like the questions, just to have an overview of like what could be asked about these topics that we talked about. So you just don't don't postpone it until the end, because otherwise it's just a lot of learning in a really short time. I think that's like the most important thing. And also for the flights, I would say prepare well. Sounds boring, sounds stupid, but it's still, I mean, you're paying for the training and you want to get the best out of every session. And if the instructor spends a lot of time having to explain things to you that you should have learned before, it's your wasted money and it's your wasted time.
Yeah,
I think we all completely agree. Do you feel that your previous experience as cabin crew helped you during your flight training?
I think it didn't really help me for like the topics or things like that, but it helped me a lot to mature really quickly, I guess, because you're put together with a lot of adults and you have that little bit of responsibility also as a flight attendant, or actually not a little bit, quite a bit. And it helped me to just like stick with the training and know that I'll be having to work for something a bit harder. I think it mostly helped me for knowing what's going to come in the future, like with shift work and stuff like that. And if I ever go on long haul, is that lifestyle really something for me? But I don't think it really helped something. It didn't really help me for like the training theory.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
just to be clear, you started your career as a cabin crew at 18 years old?
Yeah, 18.
Okay.
I just turned 18 like 2-3 months before I started.
Okay.
Wow,
That's fun because all of us, the three of us, we started the pilot course at 18 as well. Except for Pedro, we started at 19.
Yeah.
We are 21, and we really felt, at least me, I really felt like aviation really took that extra step to mature, because it's like a very rough industry. Do you feel like it?
Yeah, definitely. No, it is rough in the one hand side, but it demands from you to actually just adults a bit quicker, mature a bit quicker than other people. Just because you need to be punctual, you need to be on time, you need to stick to the procedures. So I also actually recommended a lot of friends of mine, or like friends actually of my brother, more like younger age, that if they didn't know what to do, that actually just becoming a flight attendant and working for a little bit is like a great way of like seeing how professional can you work, and also seeing the world a little bit, because I feel like it really teaches you a lot if you're put in that situation. And especially as a cabin crew, you have a lot of passengers that are much older than you, obviously, and they need to listen to you and they need to understand that you are in charge. And if you say they can't put the baggage down there, then they can't. And I felt like it really taught me to like stand up for myself and also make sure that I seem confident, even if I wasn't sometimes. And it really helps, I think, with a lot of things.
I will.
Okay, so it was a big plus in terms of human factors, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, great.
I will pick with right from the start where you said that you need to be taken seriously, and I would like you to tell us, how do you feel as a woman in aviation? Because I mean, it's I think you understand. It's like you are in a less percentage. It's like a man's world. So how do you feel like you are taking it in inside of the company, the flight school? Have you ever felt like diminished because of that? Okay, that's it.
It's interesting because tomorrow is International Women's Day in Germany, at least.
In
so
Portugal
actually,
as well.
in Portugal as well. I was asking myself, because it's called International Women's Day, but I wasn't sure, because in Germany it's actually the day from which women are paid if they would earn exactly the same as men. So basically, until that day, until tomorrow, women would have been working for free. So we've been talking about that topic actually a lot the last days. And to be honest, I love aviation for the way it evens everything out.
Okay.
Yes, in flight school, I was very lucky. We were 5 girls in my course, so that was very special. The course before us had no girls at all. I don't know about the one behind us, to be honest. But therefore, it was cool because we had each other's support, and it definitely helped with a few things, because obviously sometimes jokes are being made, and it's fine like if you do a joke every now and then, but as long as you're a single person in a room full of guys, as well, if you're a single woman in a room full of guys and there's a sexist joke being made, it's kind of not so cool, because it's really just against you in that moment. But if you're 5 girls, it's a whole different thing. And I never felt like we were treated differently or anything. I mean, like I said, every now and then there was going to be a joke being made or something like that. But we had pretty much the same treatment in flight school, same treatment during the type rating. And it just felt really good, to be honest. Everyone respected us, so that was cool. And also now in the job, I really love about aviation that we are treated exactly the same as the men. We have the same salaries, we have exactly the same seniority. In case, which is not my plan at the moment, but if I would get pregnant or something like that and have a family, I would not lose my spots to get to a captain's upgrade. I wouldn't lose that, which is so special because usually women have a lot of career setbacks because of family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing negative about it. The only reason that sometimes I notice that I'm still a minority in this job is really because of the passengers and the people around me, like in my private life, how they react to it.
Okay.
So usually very positive, I have to say. Usually it's very positive commentaries. But it's also funny, like sometimes I feel like a pet in a zoo sometimes because people actually stare through the window on the side when they get into the plane and point their fingers at me. It's like, oh, look at a women pilot, Because like I'm sitting there trying to eat my cereals in the morning, like completely sleepy. I'm just like, hi, So this is usually the special moments. But it's mostly really positive. Like so many people. I had a man once walk in and he asked me if I was the pilot, and I told him yes. And then he tapped. I didn't see her before, but there was a little kid in front of her, a little girl, and he tapped her on the shoulder. Was like, "Look, I told you could become anything."
That's nice.
That's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah,
it's really
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
We actually had 4 women in our class as well.
Cool.
And they are.
How many were you? Like all in all? How many people were?
I think we were 15.
15, yeah. 15
Wow.
or 16, something like that.
That is a lot. Cool.
And we had 4 women.
Did something like give a little bit of a different dynamic to your class? Was it cool for you to have some women in the class?
Yeah, of course.
I think it was really cool, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I lived with the 2 of the 4 women in my house. There was just it was amazing. And I think the biggest so if the women are inside aviation, I think it's a really good upgrade for the aviation, and actually the percentage of women is getting higher in aviation. I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah. Perfect. Cool.
I like
Happy to hear that.
I like to make this question to you, and it's funny because you told us that story of the little girl. I would like you to give us a quick sentence, or just to tell us, how would you like encourage a young woman to come into aviation, just for her not to feel scared or threatened to get into a man's world, like I said before.
Yeah, that is actually a difficult thing, but maybe just it's not as scary as it seems because like you, most people in aviation are actually happy about flying with a woman every now and then. So actually we get treated exactly the same, or sometimes I feel like even a little bit better because captains are just happy to have a woman next to them sometimes. It's just different. So it's not as scary as it seems. As soon as you're in, you won't even notice. I think that's kind of the thing.
Yeah,
we just need more women to come in.
Okay.
I think I saw before you. I don't know if I saw the right thing, and in your story, I saw something like it looked like a real studio.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's close to the garage of the video of his home. So yeah, it's our little studio.
Oh, this is so cool. I don't know. I feel like it always seems so nice and clean, and like the sound is so nice. I hate it when well, not hate it, but like I did a podcast, talked on a podcast 1 year ago actually. And I was sitting in my kitchen and the sound was so bad and I didn't notice before. And then afterwards I heard how badly the sound was and like how much, I don't know how to say it in English, but the walls reflected a lot.
Oh, echo.
Yeah, a lot of echo, exactly. And I just hated it afterwards. So I always think it's so cool when people actually...
Our first episode was like one microphone for the 3 of us and the audio was...
Yeah, the audio was
not
awful.
Very good. So we just bought these ones. That's the ones you see in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of our concerns. It's a podcast, so audio is one biggest thing in podcasts. So we are really concerned about the audio quality, and we are trying to do the best, of course.
Makes sense. Yeah, my parents actually work kind of in the music industry. They both work at the radio station, and my dad's biggest hobby is music and stuff. So he made me really like every time I send him something, he always has something to say about it. It's like, hey, the sound is a bit too much, the mic is a bit too close here, and I don't know what. So he's actually one of the reasons I got that little mic here, because I was like, okay, in case I ever have to say something again on camera, or I don't know what, I'll need that thing, because otherwise I just
Okay. So can we get through the process of getting in Eurowings as
I'll
a
just
pilot?
like to ask another quick question about the training.
sure.
Picking it from the part where you said it's not that scary. Here in Portugal, we felt throughout our training that we have a very military type training. Do you feel that in Germany? Because here we have that perception that people from German are very military and very, very rough.
Yeah, very strict.
Very strict. Did you feel that throughout your training? Did you have like that CFI that was very very rough, very not rude, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you like, the German straightforwardness kind of thing.
Yeah.
So during the theory, not at all, to be honest. We had incredible instructors. They were all, for us, they were actually mostly also out of aviation. So for example, our metrology teacher, she was a metrologist, but was flying the MD-11 also for Lufthansa Cargo. So she actually knew both sides really, really well. And we also had former military pilots, so many people that were actually from there, and they were all very great also at explaining things again if somebody didn't understand. So it's actually not really like that, I would say, not that military-like. And then in flight training, it kind of depended who you got in America. Really, if you had the German flight instructors, they were usually a bit more strict than the American ones, but never to an extent where you felt like it was really military-wise. And then lately in Germany, we had one or two instructors that came from the military, and they were kind of stricter apparently. But I was lucky enough to never fly with any of these, even though I think they make really good instructors. Even if they're sometimes a bit pushy, you just have to think that's their way of being normal. You know, they're not trying to be mean to you. They're just trying to get you to the best performance that you can give them.
Yep. About the type rating, how was it? It's nice to...
sorry,
First of all,
I just have a question. You did the DLR again in the Eurowings assessment.
It's actually not it's personal. But yeah, you have to do. It's a different company that does the selection just for Eurowings. If you apply just for Eurowings right now, it's interpersonal. It's a different company. They do selection processes also for, I think, DHL, maybe also Aerologic, Condor, different companies. But yeah, if you do the DLR, now at the flight school is different. But if you have done the DLR like me at first, it's only valid for 2 years. So after the flight school, usually it's not valid anymore. And then if you apply, you have to do the thing again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understood. Yeah.
David, go ahead.
In the matters of the type rating, how was it to pass from a single engine prop to a A320, right?
Yeah, A320. So amazing, obviously. I mean, the MCC was already cool. We did that on a full flight simulator on a 737. So I actually have 40 hours on a 737 full flight. I'm kind of proud of that. But no, it's super cool. I mean, you're finally learning about the plane that you always wanted to fly. You're learning about the plane that you can fly up to 230 passengers for me now and you're learning what you really want to do for the rest of your life. So this is incredible. It's a whole different size. Obviously, the first time you go into the full flight, you're like, wow, this is so cool. And you can actually press the buttons and everything. And also first time in the plane, I was so scared to start the APU first time in the plane because I'm like, oh, can I really start the APU? I mean, if I push that button, it really starts the APU. So I don't know, you get so excited about all these small things and you finally feel like you're arriving where you want to be.
That's
nice.
perfect.
That's very nice. Okay, so we're back in action.
Perfect.
Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, very sorry.
All good. All good. I was giving classes during COVID to children. Also had the 40 minutes every time, so I know it.
You were giving classes?
Okay.
Yeah, just to students actually from school. One of them was actually at Pilot Expo also because he's in flight school now, becoming a pilot too. So that was kind of
really?
But you were
But for the ATPL theory?
No, that was just for normal school actually. But
okay.
I helped him later on for some like ATPL, PPL theory. I did help him a little bit. Actually, it would be cool, I think, to like have be a substitute teacher for ATPL theory, because I think it would be very great for me also to recap on some of the things.
You never tried to give explanations about the ATPL theory?
I know so far. I mean, I do it on my Instagram sometimes. I explain some things to people like static. Last time I drew on my iPad. I drew a little sketch to explain static pressure and QNH versus standard pressure and stuff.
Nice.
And people like it. Like sometimes they actually get quite happy about me sharing a little bit of ATPL theory.
Because
that's perfect.
I mean, the industry is very exciting. I don't say this because I'm into the industry. I say this because it's kind of the truth. People are interested in the planes that fly above their heads every day.
Yeah.
So normally people get very excited.
They do. Like everything, and everybody has questions.
Yeah.
If you talk with people about aviation, everyone will come up with any kind of question. Like sometimes even questions you never thought you would get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super interesting if you talk about aviation with other people.
I think every kids have a phase in their life that they say, "Oh, I want to be a pilot. Oh, I want to be a
definitely
pilot."
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so fascinating seeing, especially these really big planes like the A380 747, and especially as a kid, you're like, "How can this massive thing fly?" You know, and I think everybody's thinking about it at some point and is fascinated by it.
That's true.
That's ever happened to you, that someone in a flight next to you, or maybe in the path to the airplane, that was like, I'm so afraid of flying, I don't want to go in?
No, so far not, to be honest. I mean, we had like a woman once that seemed quite afraid of flying, and I offered to talk to her because we're actually 3 pilots on that day. I was just as a safety for a new first officer. So I had a bit of time, so I offered her to talk to her. But that was totally fine. But we sometimes have people coming into the cockpit actually and telling us that they're a little bit afraid of flying. So they just wanted to know who's flying the plane, and they just start chatting a bit, and then they tell us they're like happy to know who's actually behind the cockpit door, and that they feel much safer.
Yeah, I normally the advice I give is like, go talk to the pilot or talk to one pilot, try to understand a little bit more, because I think the scary part of it is that the people don't know how it works, so they get scared because they don't know how the a huge machine gets up in the air and just does what it does.
It's a lack of information about aviation that scares people.
A lot,
in the end of it. Yeah.
I used to work also in a flight simulator during COVID, and we did have actually some people coming in because they were afraid of flying. Afraid of flying. Now I can. Sorry. They were afraid of flying, and therefore they went into the simulator, and we explained them everything, and we explained them mostly what the sounds are, because there are so many sounds. But if you think about the APU, or if you think about
I was thinking about the APU.
First thing that comes to mind, or the lights just going off and on again as soon as you switch from the electrical source. The gear coming up, sometimes it still vibrates while the tire is still turning. The whole plane vibrates a little bit. So there's so many things that people could be afraid of, and so many of them, really, I had at least 7, 8, 9 people coming in because they were afraid of flying, and so many of them were so happy afterwards, because they said like really the scary thing about them is having all these sounds, all these movements in the plane, acceleration altitudes. I mean, you're lowering the nose just after takeoff. You're lowering the nose and you're taking out power. For some people, it's like, I mean, they think they're going to crash in a second. So yeah, it's really that lack of information, and it's a lot of fun to share it with people and see how much they actually get more relaxed about flying, because it's such a beautiful thing to be able to fly, and it's such a great thing to be able to connect so many countries with each other, so many people with each other. And to me, I just feel sorry for all the people that have to go through like a lot of pain and scaredness and being afraid when they travel.
Yeah. Of course.
I have a funny story about this. I used to work at the airport, and one time I saw like an old lady that was tremendously afraid of flying. She climbed up the stairs, and before entering the plane, she did a like 180. She turned her back to the plane, looked up in the sky, and blessed herself before entering the plane. Then she entered. That was so like why she was really
Amazing.
shaking.
Crazy, yeah. We also had a couple coming in, and the wife was crying a little bit, and they came in and already asked for like if they could have something to drink, alcohol, and the person was like, "I'm sorry, but I can't give you, like, we're boarding. I can't give you anything to drink right now. I can sell you something later." And then she asked why, and the husband was like, "Yeah, because my wife is afraid of flying. But she already took pills, so it's fine." And the person was like, "If she took pills, I'm not going to give her alcohol on top." And then the ramp agent came in. He was like, "Okay, everybody's in, everybody's boarded." And the husband turned around and was like, "Can we close the door of the plane? Otherwise, she's going to run out." Yeah, last time I ran out of the plane, so maybe close the door before I run out again. And we're just standing there. It was just hilarious.
Yeah,
But
I'm actually from Madeira, and Madeira Airport is a little bit scary, and a lot of crosswinds, a lot of turbulence. And my mom always, for the landing, almost cries for the landing. She's really afraid of that. But just in Madeira, In any other airport, it's totally fine. In Madeira, my mom just go crazy.
I've never had the chance to go there, but I'm pretty sure it's quite scary if you go there as a passenger and the winds are a bit blowing a bit stronger. I had a woman coming in just yesterday in our flight, and she told us that they flew to Madeira, and she was like, "If I would have known how the approach would be, I would have never gone there."
Yeah, it's a little bit scary. I enjoy a lot the landing in Madeira. I actually had the opportunity to go in the cockpit for a landing in Madeira. It was
So
amazing, yeah. But for a passenger, yeah, it's a little bit scary because of the crosswinds and because of the turn. It's a circling approach in Madeira for runway 05. So and it's a really steep turn for the runway. So it's a little bit crazy. Crazy, no, scary.
Well, also crazy, probably. If
Also crazy.
If you think about this. Yeah, we actually fly to Madeira. I didn't have the chance yet to go, but we first officer obviously not allowed to fly there. As pilot flying, it's a captain's landing only, and only specially trained captains. But I'm so looking forward to hopefully flying there one day. And I mean, as pilot monitoring, it's even greater. You can look outside. You have all the time, So I can't wait. I can't wait to fly there myself and see how it actually looks, because I've done that flight, like the landing in the simulator, every single time, because that's like the highlight. It's what is the best approaches you can think of. It's like the old Kai Tak airport, Hong Kong. We had that in the sim still, and Madeira. These are like the two things that come to mind, and I so want to see it in real life.
It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful.
I went to Lisbon yesterday. Exactly.
Yesterday. Okay, I saw your story today.
I'm a bit behind. Yeah, I'm a bit behind. It was a lot of it was just very stressful yesterday. We had a bit of a special flight, so too much stuff happening, and I was just dead of the flight. So yesterday I went to Lisbon.
You never flown to Porto, because I think Eurowings has one plane in Porto.
This can be. I have not flown to Porto yet. No, maybe we fly from another base. That could be.
Okay.
No, it could be. Yeah.
We fly to Farda. I've been there already, and I'm going back there quite soon. Actually, I'm flying there. And Lisbon. These are the two things, and then Madeira also.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I like to pick from where we left. That was the
the type rating. Yeah.
How did you feel in the type rating? Was it very difficult? It's like very different in the way, like it's much more things to know, much more things to study. What were your biggest difficulty in a type rating? Just tell us about it.
I didn't feel like it was more to study actually than flight school. Okay. It was a bit difficult in the beginning to know how in depth we needed to learn, because the thing about flying a big plane is that you don't know everything about it. You can't. Even the technicians don't know everything about how the plane works. So that the most important thing is knowing where do I find the information and to learn how to do that quickly. And obviously to get like a very, very good all-round knowledge about the plane. But the problem is you can't know everything in depth. So I think that was the most difficult thing actually for the test then during the type rating, to know, okay, how far in depth do I need to know all the systems? And where is it enough to know where I find the information? And yeah, I think that was mostly it. In the simulator sessions, definitely similar as in a flight school already. Not every session will be your best. Especially we had some at night, 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. For sure, to the end of the session, you're going to be dead, and for sure, you're going to make mistakes. And then just to know that it's fine. Usually in the sim, you also have cool instructors, and they will tell you that it's fine to do mistakes, because I mean, that is what aviation also is about, is like, we have such a good system that you can make mistakes, because we're human. We make mistakes, but thanks to our checklist, to our procedures, these mistakes get found really quickly and we can work with them. And this, I think, is the most important thing that I had to learn also during type rating. You can't know everything, you can't do everything perfectly, but as long as you do your best and you prepare well, this is what they want.
Okay,
great.
Normally, we try to pass the message in our podcast that more important than knowing how the things work or how what the values are, it's to know where to find them.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you agree? I like to have like an experienced voice telling me that it's.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. Like I said, like you need to have a good basic knowledge, but most importantly, know where you find it. I mean, we have so many books on our iPads that we work with, and each book has so many hundreds, maybe also thousands of pages. There's so many systems in the aircraft, many that actually sometimes you didn't even know. Like, I heard that we had an information on a flight where they rejected a takeoff, but just very shortly, and it was reported. It's like somebody wrote a report about that, where they just quickly opened the reversers and then noticed that everything was fine. And as they had a lot of stop margin and they only moved like 2-3 meters, they decided to still go for the takeoff. And where then the company also said, we did not actually know how the system behaves if you reject a takeoff and then put full thrust. Is the system going to reboot itself and put everything back to takeoff, or is it going to be stuck in the
ground
takeoff thing? So there's so many things that actually the planes are so complex. You can't always know everything that's happening. So it's really important just know what your books are, where do you find most of the information, and that's the important thing. You don't need to learn everything by heart. This is the wrong approach, I would say. But have a good understanding and know where to find it.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually are going to make a podcast or just a video about an incident that happened with TAP Air Portugal, the company in Denmark, and that was the problem, or mostly the problem, because the pilot landed with crosswinds, and after the touchdown and after activating the reverse thrust, they decided to go around. And one of the engines received the information for ground position, so reverse doors maintained open, and the other one for the flight position. So when he pressed the toggle button, the other engine just go to full thrust. And they had an incident because of that. They go to the air with three doors open on the engine number one.
Okay.
Because of that misinformation between two systems that are independently for each engine. So
actually, that was also we always get like a pamphlet with like the news on what happened in aviation, and I think that case was also there, because we saw how they like took off and then they actually went quite a bit away from the center line, because obviously they had full thrust on one engine and reverse idle on the other one. So it is super interesting, and that's a mistake. Mistakes happen, but it's super good that in aviation we learn from them, and most of the time we calculate with mistakes happening here and there. That's so interesting.
That's amazing. That's the beautiful of aviation. So a lot of systems, a lot of redundancy, a lot of preparation, a lot of study. That's why aviation is so safe, and that's why your path to the airport is more danger than the actual flight.
Yes,
So
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes horrible incidents or accidents happen in aviation, but it's incredible to see how many flights there are per day and how little accidents happen and how safe aviation got. And it's really great that aviation always, from any accident that happened, aviation took something from it and they learned from it, and they either built systems or changed training or just send out messages saying, hey, if you do that, this and this happens, you know. Same with now what you're going to be talking about in your case. Then next time, we all of our pilots got an email saying, look at this case, that's why we cannot go around as soon as the reverses open, so please keep that in mind. You know, we're learning from everything. That's really good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. And
have you ever sorry, Peter, have you ever in your experience had to deal with some kind of emergency or an incident? And if you did, how did you manage it, especially psychologically?
So far I was really lucky not to have had any like major things. When I was a flight attendant, we had somebody with a heart attack, but that was still on ground, so we managed to do that quickly. And you know, people faint a lot on flights. That's actually kind of a thing. People, especially a bit older people, they get nervous, they don't drink enough, they don't eat enough, they leave early hours, you know, they get up at 4 a.m. to catch their flights. That happens often. I just had it now once, actually, flying also as a pilot already, that we had several system failure. Like, I think it was just a sensor. It was just a sensor that was broken, but as the sensor was broken, it showed us several system failures in one of our engines. And we already before had done pushback and everything, had some failures that we took care of. And then we were flying already when the other stuff came up. And it was cool to me to see how well the training worked, because when we had the master caution, none of us, like neither the captain or me, were getting like scared or like, oh shit, no, what can we do, you know? We're mostly just sitting there like, oh, come on, please not now. You know, we were just like, oh, do we have to deal with that now? We were just, because we were already delayed, you know, by an hour or so, and we just wanted to get to our destination. But it was great to see how well it worked. So we couldn't keep flying with these system failures, because if we would have flown to our destination, we probably wouldn't have gotten the technical support there that we needed. So we decided to go back, did the standard foredeck. I don't know if you know that options with decision execution check. I decided it would be best to just fly back to our home base. We did a slightly overweight landing also, because we didn't see that it would be like a big deal, and we didn't want to fly around for 2 tons. You need to fly for like 1 hour, sorry, just flying circles for 1 hour just to be a bit lighter. So we decided to do an overweight landing, returned back, actually got another plane and took off with all passengers minus just one passenger that decided to not come again. But we were quite impressed that everybody came back, and we still kept flying afterwards. So it was just cool to see how well the training actually worked, like how well we worked together as a team, also with the cabin crew, how well everything worked. It was a very nice experience, actually.
Okay, great story. Yeah.
Great story.
5 hours of delay and a really, really long work day.
What's the policy?
I think that passenger is not gonna fly anymore in his life. I think he's gonna.
Maybe that one passenger, no, but hey, I mean, that was really great. Nearly, I think we're quite full, so 150 passengers. I think with the 319. So 150 passengers trusted us enough that when we told them, we have some like failures here, like some incidents. Well, how do you say it again? Some technical issues. We just have to return. We're going to get another plane. And they all trusted us so much that they just got into a new plane with us. It was also kind of a cool experience to see that they actually trust us. And we're just like, okay, well, I guess they don't want to fly with that plane, so we're just going to get a new one.
Perfect, yeah.
What's the policy of when you have like a technical issue during flights and you need to come back? Do you always tell the truth to the passengers, or is there something like, it's not an engine fire, the airplane, the airport is just closed?
Yeah, well, I think if it's an engine fire, passengers probably know already.
I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so it depends. The policy that we kind of have is obviously to not make people more scared than they need to be. So obviously we want to be straightforward. If we have some technical issues, we're going to talk about some technical issues. But obviously we're going to try to make it as calm as possible. And even if we have to prepare the cabin crew for maybe an emergency landing, we're still going to make sure that everybody feels as safe as possible and that we tell them the truth to the amount that they need to know. Like, it doesn't make any sense to tell the people in detail. I mean, also when we returned, we had some auto thrust issues. We had some issues with one of our engines just because of that one failure of that sensor. And we just told people, because of a technical issue that we don't want to take to our destination, because then we might not be able to fly back, we decided to just go back home. It's going to be normal landing. And yeah, I think it's really a thing, just like tell them as much as they need to know, obviously, be straightforward to them, but don't make them go crazy by saying any kind of details. Because
of course,
people don't know. I mean, I've had friends asking me if an airplane falls from the sky if an engine fails. Like, it was really a friend who asked me, like, does it fall from the sky? Or another friend also thought that the worst thing that could happen to an aircraft is an engine failure, a single engine failure. And then that's why you don't want to tell people, you know, the exact details, because they might make it up in their head like so big, and in reality it's just a minor thing that they can probably reset on the ground but not in flight, you know.
So
of course.
And do you feel nervous? Have you ever like give the call to the passengers? Do you ever felt nervous? It's like a shock, or because I mean it's a very high point. At least I think it's a high point when you do your first passenger call.
Passenger PA.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, I mean, obviously the first times I was super nervous. Now you've gotten quite chill, but also I have said things in my announcements sometimes that were so wrong, because I was just like, you know, fourth flight of the day, I told people we're going to Prague. In reality, we're going to Budapest. And I had someone tell me like, no, we're going to Budapest. I was like, shit, right? Because it was just such a long day and we're just over Prague radar. So I was hearing on, you know, you would hear everyone saying like Prague a day, hello Prague, you know. So in my announcement, I just said Prague instead of Budapest. So things happen. If you take it same as anything, if you take it in a way that I'm human, these people are human. If I do mistakes, they're probably just gonna, if I'm open about it. I mean, I did another PA apologizing and telling everybody I was just being stupid, and no, we're going to Budapest, we're bringing you to the right airport. Everybody was just laughing. It's funny. But yeah, obviously the first times you are super nervous. But as long as you take your time, it's chill. I also told people we're flying over the Alps, and later on I was sitting there, I was like, but that's the Pyrenees. But the other way around, I don't know. I don't know why I told the people that, but nobody listened anyways. I think most people don't listen anyway, so it's fine.
Okay. I have another question. Is how do you see aviation markets for recent foreign pilots? So for us, for example, we are recent foreign pilots. How do you see the aviation the market of aviation in terms of opportunities for recent foreign pilots?
I think at the moment, I think we can all agree that it is a great position if you are right now getting like done with your training, because all the airlines are looking for pilots like crazy. I know from my company that they are. I know from many Lufthansa airlines that are at the moment. So right now, I think it's a great time to actually be in aviation and need to get a job. But obviously, as you probably noticed too, it's a very dynamic industry. So we can never say how the future is going to look.
Yeah.
I personally think in general, especially during COVID, people noticed how important traveling is to them and how much they want to see the world and how much they may want to do it as soon as possible to not later on have another pandemic hit or something else happen and then they can't travel anymore. So I think the future is definitely there. There are so many people that didn't have the chance in their life to fly yet, actually. I once read a number, but to be honest, I would have to lie if I told you now, but it's actually a majority of people obviously on Earth have not ever sat in an airplane. So there's a lot of potential. And I think it's great right now, and I hope it's going to keep going like that for a while. But you can never predict it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Now, nowadays, what do you expect? What is the future to Manon? I'm pronouncing your name well. We were talking. We were talking in the beginning, like how it's pronounced. We didn't want to be disrespectful, but it's Manon, right?
No, it's Manon. Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. I react to anything that sounds kind of similar to it. So, but that was perfect.
Okay. But what is the future to you? You completely enjoy Eurowings, I believe, and but would you like to? How would I say it? Would you like to be type rated on another plane? It's another plane that rings a bell when you think about it. Do you want to make like the extra step to Lufthansa because you're in the same group? And I don't think I'm saying anything wrong, but like Lufthansa is like the main head of the group. I believe it's like an ambition to be on Lufthansa. So okay, I already let a couple of questions.
Yeah, that's actually a bunch. It's a difficult situation, to be honest. So I'm incredibly happy at my company. So in case anyone who listens to the podcast thinks about going to Eurowings, or you at some point also, I can highly recommend it. It's an incredible company. It has given me so much already. And what I love about it is that I'm at the biggest base. So I do fly with people that I don't know every single day. But there's always a few that I know already. So it's kind of like a familiarity, but also at the same time, not too much. I know exactly who to contact, and the company, we have so many different destinations. It's so much fun working for them. But obviously I have to think in the long run. And for now, I love flying the A320, but I don't want to be telling people after my career, when I'm retired, that I flew A320 and just A320,
Yeah.
You want to develop a little bit, and at Eurowings we have a lot of opportunities to develop, but not flying wise. So yes, you can become a trainer, you can become a captain, you can have so many different jobs also in the offices. They also always look for people from the company to do some office jobs also. But flying wise, we only have the A320 for now. So I'm thinking for now, I'm very happy where I am. But obviously, like you said, Lufthansa would be a cool idea at some point, especially as I'm from the area of Frankfurt, and Lufthansa is based in Frankfurt, Frankfurt and Munich. But I have to see, because I worked for Lufthansa as a flight attendant and I loved it there. But I learned now how great it is to work in a smaller company where you actually know the people.
Yeah.
Because at Lufthansa, it's such a big company. Obviously, you're just a number. And here, to some you are a number, but to very many people, you actually are a name and a face, and they know each other. And this is something that I will definitely miss in case I get the chance to change at some point. So in the long run, see what happens. I do want to try long haul. Definitely want to try that. At Eurowings, we now have Dubai. And we will also go to other mid-haul destinations, I think, quite soon. But yeah, maybe flying like real long haul would be great. And as you asked for a plane, I would have loved to fly a 747, but I'm kind of already forgetting about this because I'm not a cargo person, so I don't think I'll ever fly cargo, and don't think I will get the chance. But 777, that would be like a highlight for me. I mean, you all know the plane. I mean, look at it. Look at the engines. Look at the plane.
I can share that with you because it's my favorite airplane.
It's so great.
Yeah, it's amazing. And at least for me, I have the goal to try every area of aviation. So I don't know, executive aviation, cargo. I don't know. I want to try every area of aviation. I don't know if you are just a airline pilot or you want to try everything inside aviation, and if you have any other area that you are trying to do or you are expecting to do.
That's kind of the problem. I'm in a very fortunate situation that I'm part of a Lufthansa airline group airline that we're on, Lufthansa group airline. So this is a very fortunate situation. It's a very safe job and everything. I would have loved actually to have tried flying some private jets. I would have loved trying to fly something else. But from now on, I think it would not be a good decision for me to change that. especially as salaries for us are very good, especially compared to private aviation. It's a whole different thing as far as I know. I was considering, because I don't know if you saw, Lufthansa Cargo is hiring now direct entry people with 1,500 hours, not type rated, for 777. So I was obviously thinking about that. I don't have the hours now, so it's not I don't really have to consider it anyways. But I was thinking about it, and that would probably be something I would be open to try. But I just love people. I love working with the cabin crew. I love getting funny comments from passengers. You know, it's I'm open for anything, but I think most of all I would prefer to just stay airline pilot, fly people, passengers from A to B.
Yeah, perfect.
I think that's pretty much it. Do you have any more questions, guys?
No, I think that's it.
No.
Really.
Good.
It was
Just
great.
finished all my little paper with all the questions.
Oh, great, perfect.
Yeah, that was perfect. We just want to thank you very much for this opportunity, because this project, of course, is a new project for all of three, and we are trying to improve everything and trying to bring new people for this project as well. And you actually are the first interview with foreign people, so
Oh, cool.
it's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah.
And we just want to thank you very much, and I think this is going to be very good for our for the people who is going to see the video. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really enjoyed this a lot, and I really hope that we can make aviation a more international thing, because I think it would be really great if people from different kind of countries actually know what's going on in the other countries and see their opportunities there too. So thank you so much for doing that. I mean, I guess it's a lot of work, so cool. Thank you also for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manon, for your time. The interview was amazing. I love the story about the emergency. I mean, it wasn't an emergency, but the system failure in the engine. Yeah, thank you for everything.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. I guess we'll just make a quick outro in Portuguese as well, and stop recording. Then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Bem, maltinha, está feito. Grande convidada.
Exato.
Uma muito boa convidada. Tem aqui...
Espero que tenham gostado. Foi a nossa
Espero
primeira
tenham
convidada
gostado.
internacional, por uma plataforma também diferente. Portanto, se tiver alguma coisa que ficou assim um pouco pior, pedimos desculpa. Mas acho que é isso.
Mas acho que o tema está lá, as informações estão lá, acho que vocês devem ter gostado. Deixem nos comentários se gostam deste formato. Nós podemos tentar trazer outras pessoas de fora, da Alemanha, Inglaterra, o que calhar. O que calhar e nós conseguimos arranjar pelas redes sociais e tudo mais para trazer aqui para o Zoom. Pronto. E é isso, olhem, obrigado por terem assistido. Têm Discords, Instagrams, tudo na descrição. Vou deixar também o Instagram da Manon a princípio também na descrição.
Na descrição.
E é isso, maltinho, obrigado.
Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado, um abraço.